It's Monday, and unlike that shower of crap that turned up in Old Trafford, we are turning up and putting up a performance, aren't we? We're going to find that silver lining that's gone missing at Old Trafford. I hope. I mean, let's be honest, Jay. It's not been the best starts of seasons. In fact, I think it's probably United's worst start in a Premier League season for defeats in the first 5 games since the Premier League started. I think only Van Gaal was worse because he had more draws than wins.
You don't think you know that stat is right? You know it's our worst start since 1989.
I do.
Because I heard you say it earlier.
Been making me not a bit of that. I've got mank flu, and honestly, I've been dying on the couch all day, and I thought, I'm just going to make some notes.
Scotty's got all stat heavy on us. Yeah, look at you, little nerd, with all your stats. Oh, it's our worst start since 1989. Yeah.
Who believes numbers?
Do you know what I mean? Most stats are made up anyway. It's weird though, Scotty, right? Because I get to the sort of thing where I almost feel like I should be more annoyed and defeated than I actually am.
Yeah.
Like, I was there at Old Trafford on Saturday, and when they scored their 3rd goal, like, a lot of people left. People that I was stood near, like, I stand in the TRA and that, a lot of people left. Not everyone, but there was a big chunk of the crowd that went, nah, I've had enough of this. And I get it, but it sounds a little bit weird, but I still kind of enjoyed the last 20 minutes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, watching Hannibal, watching, like, us. It
probably got better when Hannibal came on.
It's just weird. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've seen such riches, as the song says, during my time, but I can stomach it. I feel worse, and I know this is proper sort of schmaltzy, but my lad, like, feels he's 8 years old. He's messaging me as I'm coming out of the ground, like, oh, can't cope with this. My daughters as well, they're into the football. I get it, because they've not really seen us win much, to be honest with you. But I'm like, you know what? It is bad, but I still feel like a little bit of optimism, and I still feel like it's not that bad, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with you. And whilst I'll be one to lay a cynical glove on you in a minute, there is reason for optimism given the sort of injuries that we've had. And I put out on Twitter after the game on Saturday that you have to give them the benefit of the doubt with everything that's going on external to the team, with the ownership and the stuff with Anthony, the Greenwood stuff and the injuries. So it's hardly him having an underperforming team with every tool at his disposal. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you have to give him that sort of benefit of the doubt. But when you look at the wider picture, and I've been getting shit for this ever since I mentioned it on Stretford Paddock, I don't think we've been performing since the Carabao Cup. So I checked out the points. So from the Brighton game on Saturday to the Carabao Cup final, we've got 36 points out of a possible 57.
That's not too shabby. You love your stat sheet, don't you, son?
Right. So I think we've won 9, lost 7, drew 3 or something. Right. It's very average.
Yeah.
Is that not some sort of cause for concern? If you look at the football as well, I was just talking on my BBC show before, is that this whole thing about Ten Hag's identity, I'm not overly convinced with that. We can be optimistic with the Onana signing, because he's been coming up for a lot of grief, and a lot of the goals that he's conceded weren't stuff that, you know, he should have saved, but some of them I thought he could have maybe done a little bit better. But my thing with the Onana is, was a new goalkeeper as imperative as a centre forward? Was Mason Mount needed as much as a centre forward? Could Fred not have done the job that Mason Mount's done injured for 3 weeks?
Right, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to change my opinion after what I've been saying. I massively think we needed a goalkeeper. I've been saying that for a while. More
than a striker, that's the point though. I know we needed a new keeper. Did we need a new keeper more than we needed someone who could score goals?
Right, you mean more than another striker? Because we bought a striker and a goalkeeper,
right,
didn't we?
I get that, but for me, I think that a seasoned striker that wasn't...
I'll give you the Mount one.
Right.
But for me, I said my priority was a goalkeeper.
Ahead of a striker?
Yeah, it was. I thought we cannot, because I'm not being funny, right? The amount of times we gave away possession with De Gea was unreal. Just by kicking out. If you keep kicking the ball out to touch, you're giving away possession. Yeah. And it was just constant. And it was like, everyone fixated on the FA Cup final. And even to the point where some reporters are saying that was what made Eric Ten Hag decided not to stick with De Gea, which worries me a little bit because I don't know what he was watching for the last few months of the season. Because bless him, but he was all over the gaff, David De Gea. So now we've had this thing 5 games in where people are going, I'm not saying it's you, but people are going, oh, we shouldn't have bothered with a new goalkeeper. I think Onana's done all right. I think if you look at that spine of our team, everyone's underperforming in front of him. I don't think Casemiro's been that great this season. I don't think Martinez has been the same since his injury. And I love these players, by the way, before anyone starts saying...
They were our shining lights last season.
Yeah, but they've not been anywhere near the levels he should. Martinez got hooked against Wolves because he was having a stinker. He got that yellow card.
He's not come back from the injury the same.
He's not, and I still think he's a great player, but he's not. Then he picks up a knock against Arsenal. It's not his fault, but that happened. You saw on Saturday, Casemiro wasn't great. Defensively, we were all over the gaff. And I thought, actually, okay, you can argue Onana should have done better for the third, but he made a very good save for Ansu Fati right at the end as well, which was a 10 out of 10 save. So for the goalkeeper one, I've always said that was a priority, and I said it before the end of last season. In terms of a striker, I also said we needed 2 strikers, so I'm with you on that. What I'm saying. I would have got another striker in over Mason Mount if it was up to me. Now if Mason Mount is here and I'm backing him, I'm not having a dig at him.
In the same respect, I'm not having a dig at all.
No, I know you're not.
I'm just saying where was the money best
spent. If it was up to me, I wanted us to get 2 strikers. I knew we wouldn't. Because we're not that.
What? What do you call transfers? With
our thinking. What? Well, we're going to have one unproven striker and one who's made of glass. Yeah, let's do that. And that'll help us catch Manchester City, who've just won the treble. It's madness. But you knew it was coming. And to the point now where we went out and we spent all that money on Mason Mount, and you had the club briefing the press like that was some sort of bargain when the kid had, 10 months left of his contract. And it was like Chelsea obviously wanted to keep him, but he wanted to come to Manchester United. So there was that whole thing of like, oh, I can't believe, what a bargain that is. John Murtaugh doing God's work and all the rest of it, where I don't really see it like that. I thought he did. It was a deal that basically was pretty average in terms of getting a player who was almost out of contract, and a player that I don't think we really needed as well. Then you look at the Rasmus Højlund one, again, good young striker. I understand why we got him, but it made sense, and I don't think it was necessarily a bargain. Then when we get into some of the other players, like Amrabat, I think he's a loan, so we didn't even have any money for him, which is a little bit concerning. Reguilon, I get we had 2 left-backs missing. The point I'm getting at is, we've not really done anything in this transfer window where I go, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, wow, that is mint.
How much is this the... Can you put the responsibility at Ten Hag though? Because some of these players he wanted, obviously trying to build something, he wanted Mason Mount rather than going after sort of a different striker that was worth a similar amount of money. And then you look at the performances on the pitch. Like, regardless, I was speaking to Andy Tate and he was very rattled by the sort of grilling that I gave him. Very Paxman-esque. I was very proud of myself. But on a side note, he was saying, well, the players are throwing him under the bus. And I'm like, well, Marcus Rashford can only control what Marcus Rashford does, right? Casemiro, same, Fernandes. Every player is culpable for their individual performance and their energy and their drive and their motivation. They take care of themselves. The job of a manager is to control that as a whole.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you've got 11 players that aren't doing it, aren't motivated, when does the buck stop with the manager? And you can take everything externally out.
Yeah.
Your job as a manager is to get them players playing to the best of their ability, buying into your system, your belief, your strategy, your tactics, and it doesn't seem to be happening. Why?
It's a very good question. I think, for starters, I don't think we've come back from pre-season in the best of shape. Players just don't look great at all. And it's not just me saying that. A lot of people who know far more about football than I do have said our pre-season was madness. To have those amount of games and fly all over here, there and everywhere. You're in Scandinavia, you're in the United States, you're in Ireland, you're back at Old Trafford. It's like, was it Edinburgh? Was another one. What are you doing? Why have you got all these games? Why have you got, all right, okay, if we had back-to-back games and obviously it's a different team, but what is all that about? And it's the whole commercial thing and trying to have all these games going on and everything. It didn't make any sense. And I don't think we've come back from pre-season looking sharp. We haven't. Now, if Eric Ten Hag, from what I gather from what we saw him in fits and starts last season and what we know about Max, is going to play the way he wants to play, he needs players who are full of beans, who have that energy, and they don't seem like they've got it. Again, at the weekend you saw it. After about 50 minutes, we seemed to fall off a collective cliff. I don't even think we were that bad in the first half. It wasn't a stellar,
up until the goal.
Yeah, it wasn't a stellar United performance by any stretch, but, we had the goal disallowed, we were still in the game, there was little moments. But then after about, 50 minutes, I thought it was, 55 minutes, whatever, everything just started going wrong. And you looked at it and you see, like you said about the individual battles getting lost all over the pitch. Tariq Lamptey just running through, but like completely unchallenged for about 60 yards. What is going on there? And man, he's not even first choice for him anymore.
But that's the other thing, isn't it? Brighton's team were missing sort of 6 players.
Yeah, I think they had Evan Ferguson didn't start. Solly Marsh, Estepina, the fullback. There was a lot of players there that should have started or do start for him, and they didn't. And you can argue about United missing players, but so were Brighton. And the difference is Brighton's reserves or the players that came in for him turned up. Ours didn't, and some of our first team players didn't either.
I want to ask you one question before
we'll get into the comments in a minute.
Yeah, before we do, can everyone who's watching please make sure that you're subscribing? Our numbers are going up and really appreciate it, but so are the viewing figures. So, you know, subs should match the views, and we're getting more views than subs. So you do the math. Press subscription. Is it subscription?
Oh, bless
Subscribe.
It's like my granddad.
Press that button. Is it red?
Hey, like love it. Hey, press it on your remote.
At least I'm trying to get new subscribers
you're
every
doing
week.
A fantastic job. I'm not knocking you. I'm really worried, you know.
You're really worried now?
No, this isn't even funny. My missus is at home with the kids, and I think she's been drinking. She's put, should have kept Weggy in the chat.
Right. I don't. Yeah. Do you come and stay at mine?
Yeah.
On the couch with me.
Yeah. No, she's obsessed with Vote Veghorst. She loves an underdog. Obviously, that's why we're together. She takes pity on people. That's why I'm with her. Now, listen. I still feel like it's one of those where it's not quite that bad yet. It's not been great. Tactically, I thought he got it wrong on Saturday. His subs didn't make sense. The Hoyland one, I understood. I was one of the few people that around me that did seem to get it, because I thought he's been given an hour. He's not fully fit. It's obviously pre-planned, where he said, look, I'm going to give you 60 minutes and then I'll bring you on for Martial or whatever, or in his head he's thought that. Whether he's told him or not is a different thing. I think he probably had, because we can't risk getting that striker injured or having him not fully fit for the Bayern game.
No.
So we've got that. Some of the other ones, Reguilon coming off, I didn't get when he was starting to get a little bit of joy down there, left-hand side. Somebody staying on the pitch as long as he did, I didn't get at all. Only giving Garnacho and Palestri 7 minutes was baffling to me. I just didn't understand that one at all. But on the whole, I think Erik ten Hag's the right man for the job. I think when you bring in a lot of new players, especially a lot of new players, and half of them are injured as well, and then you've got all these other injuries floating around, it's going to take a little while to get it sorted. I
mean, let's get to the comments in, but that in itself, the amount of players we've signed with injuries, it's like going to a used car dealership. It's had a couple of bumps.
Yeah.
You know, it'll get you from A to B. Yeah. You know,
it's like you buy the car and you can't even drive it off the forecourt.
Yeah.
It's that knackered, you can't even do that with it.
It'll pass its MOT if you pass me another 20 quid.
Yeah. I've had them cars.
Same,
I'm going to get into some of the chats and then we'll continue this. Solo's in the chat. Good to see Solo from United Agenda. Him and he's having some Fred love. He's on your page there.
Man.
Oh, missing Fred. Petland UK says, Jay, remember saying before the season started, could get worse before it gets better. Do you know what, right? The interesting thing here is, you was quoting it earlier on about this is our worst start since 1989.
Yep.
Which is obviously Fergie. And I remember saying this, what might happen is, with Veghorst, got Veghorst on the brain, with Ten Hag, is similar to what happened with Fergie. Fergie came in, obviously inherited a shambles. We were scrapping in towards the relegation zone when he came in and took over from Atkinson in November '86. His first full season, I think we finished second, and then his second full season, there was a big drop off. But what he was doing, he was laying foundations, and it was like, you know what? Initially, I've improved everything, and we've had this little lift, and I've got to tune out these players. Then I've got to make changes, and these changes are going to take a little bit of time. I'm hoping there's an element of that going on with Ten Hag, where he's gone, look, come in, got to get us back in the Champions League, and ideally win us a trophy. I've done that. We've got a few signings that are short-termish, Eriksen, Casemiro. I'm getting to tune out the likes of Varane and Rashford, and last season I'm talking about, and Wan-Bissaka and Shaw and all these players. But fundamentally, long term, there's certain changes I want to bring about. I want a goalkeeper who can play out from the back. That's Onana. I've got a couple of youngsters in Kobbie Mainoo who I think is going to have a bright future. Garnacho, who are going to feature more heavily for me as time moves on. Yeah. Little things like that. That's what I'm hoping he's doing. So you might get a little bit of a drop off now, and then it's almost for the greater good. Now, you can call me deluded and optimistic and all the rest of it. I understand that. But that is what my hope is, because I think he's a manager who's got talent. He knows what he's doing. I just think at the minute, we're seeing probably, one of the worst sides we've seen under Erik ten Hag since before Ajax.
Yeah.
In terms of the performances.
And even if we were going to get this sort of, what's the saying, short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah.
Even if we were going to get that with the squad as it was, is not helped by the external. I mean, we've got a third choice right winger that's the only available person to play out there.
I mean, you cannot legislate for some of these injuries and these absences. As a manager, you can't go, well, I'm going to lose both my left backs, so I better buy another one. Like, before that happens.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when it happened, he went out and got Sergio Reguilon. And that is one transfer, by the way, that it amazed me people were kicking off about, right? It was like people...
He was probably one of the United's best players on Saturday.
I know, and then he brought him off, which I don't get. But people going, why have we got Sergio Reguilon, Finnish club, state of this club, washed ball and we're buying him. It's like, what are you on about? We literally lost both left backs, so he's had to go out, get someone who he can rely on, who can do a job in the Premier League, who is available, by the way, and is you can get on loan, and also you can give him back in January when both other left backs come back. And let's have it right. It's not like Chelsea are going to go, yeah, do you want Ben Chilwell? He's our first choice left back, but you can have him on loan. You're not going to go and get him, are you? You're not going to go and get someone's first choice. You're going to have to get someone that a club's will be willing to let go. So I thought Sergio Reguilon made a lot of sense. Other deals you might look at and go, okay, I'm not quite sure about that one or whatever. But that one made a lot of sense. And I think he's had to deal with that. The right wing situation, Anthony, obviously, he couldn't have seen that one coming. Sancho, people say, oh, he could have handled it a little bit better. Sancho should have handled it a lot better. And let's not, I don't think for 1 minute that he's not giving Sancho a lot of support along the way. He has. And I still don't think we've seen the best out of Jadon Sancho. We've seen nowhere near the levels we saw at Dortmund ever since he arrived. That's Erik ten Hag and post Erik ten Hag as well. So there's these sort of mitigating circumstances. Then you lose, obviously I mentioned left back, then you lose another right back in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Plus you want Amrabat, you want him. He's your guy.
The signing Mason Mount got injured.
Yeah, Mason Mount gets injured. Amrabat isn't 100%, but you know he's going to be all right in a few weeks. So you don't not buy him because he's not going to be fit for 2 weeks, so I'm not buying him. That makes no sense, do you know what I mean? So I feel like, and again, I might be completely deluded, but this is as bad as it's going to get. I feel like there's going to be more positives coming our way soon when some of these players come back.
Yeah, when the players return. Well, you'd hope so, because that is the major reason. If that is the major reason why we're not performing. But you look at, we've got Bayern Munich this week, and like we say in the thumbnail, make or break week. I don't think too many United fans, even the most deluded, are expecting us to go over there and get 3 points, are we? Are you, given our performances, should have got beat by Wolves. Forest was a good comeback, but we were 2-0 down.
Yeah.
We've got a makeshift defence, no right winger.
Yeah.
We've got a kid for a striker or Anthony Martial. Maybe your missus onto something. We should get Vegas back just.
You know what it is, right? I almost drank the Kool-Aid a little bit before. We had Abdullah on Paddock doing a preview, and he was like talking about tactics now. Upamecano can struggle against a strong striker, and now when Leverkusen drew with Bayern Munich at the weekend, like there's a similar way we could do these sort of things, and I'm like, I can kind of get it. I could actually see us getting some out of the Bayern Munich game. I think that could happen, because I think without that pressure of like no one expects us to get anything, and we have got good players. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we've got a team full of just dross. There are good players in the Manchester United team that are available. They're just not performing at the minute. I think we could. I don't know if we will, but I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility at all that we could go to the Allianz and get some out of it. The only worry for me is if we go behind early doors, it could end up being 4-5.
That's my fear.
That's my fear.
Harry Kane back in the Champions League. There's a bit of a narrative there. United didn't go for him. And that's the fear, isn't it? You're saying like this is the worst. If we were to get spanked by Munich and then go to Burnley on a wet Saturday, September night, and might not be the easiest game. We should really win on paper our 4 league games in October.
Let's have a look here now.
I think we've got Sheffield United.
So we've
Palace.
got after Bayern. Oh, it's Burnley, innit? Sorry,
Burnley
I didn't. It was Palace, so it's Burnley away. So this is why I feel like it could get worse before it gets better.
Well, you just said this is worse.
I know.
You said this was the bottom.
I said it could get better, but now looking at it, I'm thinking, right, okay.
There's more bottoms to have.
It will get better eventually. It will, but I don't know.
Bless your optimistic soul.
I know. What it is with that Burnley game. I didn't think the Burnley game was next. I thought it was Palace at home next.
That's what I mean. Burnley away.
I could see us like drawing that one, like 0-0 or something. And everyone go, oh my God, the wheels have come off, it's terrible. Then it's Palace at home. Sorry, forgive me. I could see us winning that in the Carabao. Palace at home in the league. I could see us winning that. Galatasaray in the Champions League, obviously at home, and Brentford in the league. Sheffield United away. Up to Sheffield United away. I think those are winnable games other than the Burnley and the Bayern one. The trouble is the Burnley and the Bayern one are this week. So sorry, it's a bit like, I don't know, man.
What do you think the main consensus? And I just need to reiterate this. I'm no shape or form asking for Ten Hag's resignation. I just like asking the difficult questions. But there does seem to be a little bit of a shift in a narrative, especially when you look at online fans who may be a little bit more erratic than the match-going support, which I think is fair to say. But do you think that the main people are behind Ten Hag, they're buying into his philosophy, he is the right one?
Overall, I do. I think the last season was a very successful season in terms of when you put everything into context. You look at what he inherited, what you'd want before the season started. I don't think any of us had expectations of winning the league. I think trophy and Champions League football was what we all wanted, and we got it. And also we had some decent cup runs along the way. The issue you've got with Erik ten Hag is that away record will undermine him. Like, you cannot ignore that result at Anfield. You cannot ignore what happened at that first 50 minutes, whatever it was, against Manchester City. You can't ignore the fact that it was so many away trips ended in a defeat against top sides. So when things start going wrong, certain people will look at that and go, look, this guy, he's not all that. Like, he lost 7-0 at Anfield, for God's sake. How can you think he's the one? Like, I understand why people have the doubts, because despite him having that very good season, there's like an asterisk next to it going, but we did have these horrendous results along the way. That's my worry, because I think you need to stick with Ten Hag, and I think he's the right guy. But I think that because of those results, certain fans might not fully rate him, but more importantly, certain board members or whatever might be going, if things carry on going wrong, going, look, he's not all he's cracked up to be. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we're not, but that's my concern, because this board can be a bit trigger happy. Perversely,
I've probably been more impressed with Ten Hag's dealings off the pitch than I have been with the performances he's been getting on the pitch.
In what sense?
Well, the stuff with the Ronaldo situation, De Gea didn't want him. You know, he's been very cutthroat. Looks like Sancho's going to go for the behaviour. Even when he didn't let Rashford play. United for a long time have needed that sort of disciplinarian. I mean, they had it to an extent with Jose, but I think he was boxing with one hand tied behind his back when it came to some of the players. So that's been impressive. Do you think he sort of made a rod for his own back? Because I think we overachieved last season. And I think we overachieved for several reasons. We had a very favourable... I know the Carabao Cup win, lifting it, was great because we'd not won a trophy for so long. But on paper, we should have won the Carabao Cup. Do you know what I mean? When you look at the teams that are put in front of us, it wasn't because we got a difficult draw.
I said this to you the other day. We've not won a game under it to now when we haven't been favourites.
Yeah, exactly. So the Carabao Cup, on paper, we should have won.
Yeah, we should beat Newcastle on a neutral ground.
Yeah. Like, and all the teams leading up to it.
Yeah, Forest, over 2 legs. Come
Charlton.
On. Yeah, like, even Villa was at home on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I agree. You should.
Yeah.
The caveat I would add to that is, we should have beat Middlesbrough under Ralph Rangnick. We should have beat... You know what I mean? Like, we have been knocked out of cup competitions and lost to teams that we should have beaten over the last 6 or 7 years, or 6 years, sorry, since we last won something. So yeah, you're right, but that is the one thing I'll say. Like, some of his predecessors have been knocked out. You know, Derby at home.
Yeah, and that's probably why they haven't got a job.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
And he has. So we're all very happy about getting the silverware, but because of that, you do get a raised expectation level amongst United fans, and with what we thought was a great transfer window. I can't remember the last time, like, we've been 2-3 weeks into a transfer window and gone, what's this? We're signing players. Do you know what I mean? And it's like all this optimism. We got to America and it just felt like the rug's been pulled under our feet, because the performances over there weren't great, really.
There was one against Arsenal, which was mint, and then the Real Madrid game, no. Dortmund, no.
Wrexham,
thank you. Yeah. Well, that was the Resis, but still we lost.
Yeah.
Was that it?
And then the ones are back over here, they're doubling.
Yeah, so
there was nothing over there that sort of suggested we were going to go do great things. I do think that the pre-season was more of a success for commercialism than it was.
That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, because it's like it's affecting the team. I'm sorry, I think it is. I'm going to get in some of the comments.
Yeah, go for it, man.
And also we'll hear from Alexei as well. You got your mic on, Alexei?
Yeah.
Right, okay. That's enough.
That nutty either.
That's enough from you. DB Cooper says, I'll take any draw you could give me, even the most boring 0-0. Man United says, can see a 5-1 Bayern. Rajat Kalia says, I just hope not everyone jumps on Eric Ten Hag's case. I'd honestly take a failed season over a manager reset. Do you know what? I won't be against that, bro. I wouldn't.
What's a failed season?
Not making Champions League.
But finishing top 6.
Oh, Europa.
Yeah, so that's me. How low would you fail? Is the failure?
For me,
Moyes was 7th in March and out of
Yeah.
the Champions League.
yeah.
Is that
I'd stick with Ten Hag to the end of this season. I would.
regardless of where we
Yeah,
finish?
man,
If we're fighting for relegation, you'd fight for Ten Hag.
Nah. All right. If relegation's a bit of a stretch. Like if our Premier League status is at risk, then maybe I think, all right, this isn't working. But I don't know. I feel like if we are doing certain things, we go like long term, there could be benefits there. I just worry about constantly going through this thing because here's what happens, right? We're struggling a little bit in the league. We're out of the Champions League places. The performances aren't good enough. We're losing games we should be winning, all the rest of it. Ten Hag gets sacked. A caretaker comes in, right? Look at the past caretakers managers. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a bit of a left field appointment. No one saw that one coming. Ralph Ragnick. Certain people like Stephen Alson thought it was a great appointment. I barely heard of the guy. I hadn't heard of him. I had to be reminded who he was. So a caretaker manager comes in. It's probably someone you're not even thinking of right now. It's just some some randomer who you forgot he was even about. Do you know what I mean? He comes in, he does us to the end of the season. We have a few good results. We steadies the ship a little bit. We probably still finish 6th. Then we get a new manager in the summer. I don't know. Nagelsmann or someone. I don't know. Whoever. He comes in, and it's reset again. He brings in his own players. We get rid of the players that Eric Ten Hag's put in. We have a good first season under him where we finish 4th or whatever. Everything's all right. Next season we flattered. It just feels like a cycle, and it's like, when do you get to the point where you break this cycle?
You break that cycle when you get the right man. I'm not saying Ten Hag's not the right man, but I think once Matt Busby stepped down from Man United, I think we went through 6 or 7 managers to get to Sir Alex Ferguson. Given that was that was a 26-year period.
I agree, but
I'm not saying like go and get Nagelsmann or stuff like that. I'm just saying that at what point is too much too much. I'm not asking for Ten Hag to get out. I'm just asking Jay questions.
Yeah, no. My thing is like, do you give him the great season that Fergie had, where it's like the second season isn't that great, and you go, okay, I can see what's going on here. We're gonna stick with you, or just go, no, what? If you're finishing 8th, you're done.
If Ten Hag played under someone like Abramovich or was at Chelsea under Todd Bowley, and these sort of performances were continued, I don't think he'd stay in the job.
I don't think he will here.
No.
With our trigger.
I think the Glazers are probably a little more lenient with the handing P45s out than Abramovich was in the past. I think so.
Let's have it right. Jose got a new deal, finished 2nd, got to the FA Cup final.
Was it 2.5 years?
Yeah, and then he was sacked. But you couldn't have sacked him earlier than they did.
No.
Like, he won 2 trophies in his first season, finished 2nd and got to an FA Cup final, and then 3 months into the third season got sacked. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finished 3rd in his first season, 2nd in his second season, and then his 3rd season when the wheels started coming off.
So they give him like a 2.5 years.
Like, it's like
how long was Van Gaal? 2.5 years.
No, 2.
2 years.
He got sacked. He got sacked when he won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So like, it feels like to me.
What's that in the cup there? Oh, it's me P40. What?
Oh, right, okay. Oh, right. All right. Can I get on the coach on the way home? No. All right. Sound.
National Express, son.
It does feel like they do it almost as soon as possible. Do you know what I mean? I think those managers bought themselves. Like Van Gaal finished 4th. That was good enough for his first season. And then he was more or less doomed, wasn't he, from Christmas onwards, but got to the end of the season. Jose, first 2 seasons.
Is it a signifier if we're not making Champions League football? Do you think that could be a reason why they pull up trigger?
Yeah, I think it's that cash cow, innit? Alexei, what do you reckon about Eric Ten Hag? Do you think that if things go wrong the next couple of weeks, do you think there's serious doubts over his future? Not from you, but from the powers that be, or maybe even from you as well.
There always is, though, at United. I think we're always about 3 or 4 games away from any manager being in trouble. But I think the issue is I really like Ten Hag, and I think like last season we beat every top 6 team at home, and we won the League Cup final, and we beat Barcelona. The only issue I have is if we were a good team, we'd be able to beat Barcelona and beat City and beat Liverpool and then beat Aston Villa away or beat Brentford away. It's a bit weird that we get these really good home results and then just can't win away at all. Like, it doesn't really make sense. From my point of view, to be honest,
he's already sorted that out though, because now we've started losing at home.
Yeah.
So the consistency's there.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey?
That's a good point.
if you lose every away game, once you lose the home form, you're in trouble. But to be honest, all I want to see, and we broadly have for the whole time, I'm not that bothered about us winning every game and winning trophies. You just want to go to a game and see a team that fights, and it's a good atmosphere, and it's nice to watch, and you know that, okay, you've lost, but they've really tried. Whereas on Saturday, I didn't feel like some players were trying as hard as they could be. Bruno was really trying. Hannibal was like amazing when he came on. But yeah, the lack of trying is bad. But Ten Hag won't like that either, and we can't. Whatever you think about Ten Hag, and I think he's doing things wrong. I was quite annoyed with him the other day. You can't keep sacking managers at the rate we are, because you sack Ten Hag after buying every single player that was personally recommended by him. And
well, you have to, but on that basis, if it's the players that are recommended by him and they're not proving successful, then the sword has to fall only on one man.
Yeah,
surely.
But it's the thing. Like, realistically, so let's say we're 8th in December and they sack him, so they probably give Steve McLaren the job till the end of the season. It'll be someone like that, and then that's the season wasted. And then the next guy comes in and goes, "Oh, I don't want."
People are already writing this season off, though, aren't they? Like, I seen you put a tweet out saying you're wondering if you want Liverpool, if you want Arsenal to win the league ahead of Liverpool.
No, I said, yeah, here's what I said. Don't try twisting what I said. And
you said that I want Liverpool to win the league.
right, do you know what I mean? Completely. Not even paraphrasing, just lying. Just lying about what I said.
Oh, no, that was Jim Motty. Sorry.
Here's what I said. Not going to lie. Feel like I'm already at the Arsenal winning the Premier League is better than City or LFC stage of the season. FFS ellipses.
And you feel that?
Are we going to win the league this season? No. Like, we're not.
We might win the Europa League.
Right, like, let's be real here, yeah? I'm an optimist. I love this club, and I've seen things that I never thought I'd see. We ain't winning the league this season. I still think we can have a successful season.
How?
Winning the Champions League would be a successful season.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah? No, that would be a successful season.
That would be a bloody miracle.
Yeah. Stranger things have happened, bro. Like,
that team can't win a Champions League. The team that went out and performed on Saturday is so far from winning a Champions League.
Did you think Di Matteo's Chelsea could win a Champions League?
That Di Matteo's Chelsea were better than Manchester United versus Brighton.
When he took over from AV, I don't know about that one. Did you think Liverpool, when he finished 5th, were going to win the Champions League?
It was a better, more so than the United team we've got at the moment.
Did you think the Thomas Tuchel Chelsea team could have won the Champions League?
Yes.
Really?
No. But all them examples,
know, bro.
All them examples.
Football.
That's football.
You never know. Hey, that's what he does to you.
Stop giving me sort of they're not even comparable. Them teams played as a team compared to ours.
Oh, mate,
11 individual.
Some of those teams were terrible. Like,
I've been seeing how bad we are, really, though. When you look like
5 games in,
like
you know what I mean?
we're 5 games in, and we're actually missing Antony, who, let's just be honest, is a bit shit. He's like Anthony Valencia with blonde hair and can't cross the ball. I've never seen such a one-footed player. He's garbage. He really is. And we miss him.
Is he garbage though if we miss him?
We're missing him because of our replacements are someone who can't get out of bed on time and a young kid called Palestra. So we miss him based on the fact that he's the numbers.
Our replacement isn't Palestra. Our replacement at the weekend was let's have a 4-4-2 diamond situation with Scott McTominay, right-sided midfielder.
Yeah, we miss him because he can play that position. Not miss him so much for what he provides.
I think with Andy, I'm not his biggest fan.
He doesn't get into any top 6 team.
No, but I think he obviously does a job that Eric Ten Hag wants him to do. And that first season, I think, was successful. He played a lot of games. I just think he needs to score more goals so he get more assists because his numbers are terrible. Yeah, that's not what his numbers are terrible. He's not that good. No, but Eric Ten Hag obviously rates him, doesn't he? Because like he keeps playing him every week in, week out.
That might be a problem. And this is when I start saying, well, you look at the record and stuff, and how many points we're getting, and the lack of assists that our strikers are getting, and you look at Anthony's numbers. Shit's got to add up some point. Ten Hag's having faith in a player that I don't think is very good. You're telling me his numbers are crap, and we're missing him.
I don't know. I'm not his biggest fan. I thought. When I've had this argument with people and they go, yeah, but he does a job keeping possession. We couldn't keep the ball the other day. Andy keeps the ball. He does.
Yeah.
Whether you like him or not, he keeps that ball.
Yeah,
also, he defends. You might not like the kid, But he would not have had, was it Tariq Lamptey or whatever running past him like that? He defends, he gets stuck in, he does so. There are elements to his game other than just, I know as an attacker you might get goals and assists, I'm aware of that, I'm not disputing it. But the other elements to his game that obviously brings to the table that Erik ten Hag likes.
I get that, yeah.
I mean, like, what we saw at the weekend was we had a right-hand side of our midfield that was just nothing.
Yeah.
It was not defensively sound. It was nothing going forward. It was just non-existent.
We've got go into midfield. Then we've got the ageing pairing of Casemiro and Eriksen. Casemiro looks a shadow of the player he was last year. I'm as a person and a player, absolutely love him. He's become a cult hero within like 2 minutes. And I can't remember a player that was sort of taken to United fans' hearts last season as much as Martinez and Casemiro. But he is on the decline. You can't say he's not, because age will be against him. So he can't hold that position forever. Alongside, you've got Eriksen, who's got these aging legs. I mean, the highlight for me on Saturday was when he span on the ball. That was it, and that was it.
Jesus wept. I ain't gonna
Varane made of cardboard.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Luke Shaw, every beginning of the season, is injured for 3 months. Wan-Bissaka's out for 2 months. Rashford didn't want to run around and do anything. There's a lot of question marks. Just saying.
But apart from that,
we're definitely going to be. We're going to spank Munich.
See what I mean? That's the spirit. And then we'll win the Champions League. This is what I'm saying to you. Randy Savage says Anthony's definitely in the XL flops prem ever. Well, it remains to be seen. He obviously needs to get back in the team first and prove himself. Danny G says Hannibal and Amrabat could be a very interesting midfield. I don't know if you're going to see that midfield starting, but it could be. DB Cooper says I actually be down with Anthony. Crying emoji says Danny G says I want to see Hannibal and Amrabat together. Man United, I agree with this, says we need Palestri starting more games. I want to see him being given a chance. Randy Savage says Casemiro's becoming a donkey. Casemiro's been all over the gaff though since he arrived, you know. He has.
Since he come back?
No, I think he's been erratic from day one. Right, hear me out, because I know I like Casemiro. His ceiling is as high as anyone's I've seen in a red shirt since Fergie's days, right? Yeah. Not as high as the likes of Keane and Robson, I don't say that lightly. He has got one of the highest ceilings of any midfielder on the planet. The problem is, we see the lower end far too often, and I'll justify what I'm on about here. Took him a while to get going in them first few games. You saw he was a little bit ropey, he's giving the ball away a lot, it's fine, he took a while to get going. When he got going, he was mint, yeah? Then he had a few ropey, then he had his suspensions. Missed, was it 9 games, I think it was in total, or 8 games, sorry. Carabao Cup finally saw him at his best, dominant, doing the business, do you know what I mean? Likes a goal as well, obviously. Can be a leader. Then when he comes back from his suspension, it's like he'd lost something. It's like it got in his head. So you had quite a few games where he wasn't himself again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like he's had these little pockets of 3 or 4 games where he hasn't been the Casemiro that everyone loves. And they're not that rare. And then he's missed 8 games as well.
Yeah.
So, and now this season we're going, has Casemiro turned up yet? We're 5 games in. Has he really turned up yet?
Not at all. It's like them. It's like them plays because they have had like special moments, like the cup final.
Yeah.
That becomes the sort of thing that you pin your hat on, isn't it?
Yeah. But so I'm not disputing he's not a good player.
No, he's a great player, but but it's when you look at all them performances and say, all right, well, with his sort of bipolar career at United, what's the average here? Is it more? Do you know what I mean?
Point, bro.
That's a good point.
And I think people don't like to say that because
he's a cult figure.
Steve tried to throw me under, but I can't remember Steel Joe saying Jay hates Casemiro, and I think Alexei might have even clips it up.
Good lad.
You know what I mean? Yeah, nothing. I just got death threats and bricks through my window. It's fine.
You leave our cat alone.
It's like, do you know what I mean? Like one of them ones. You're 2 steps away from putting your account on private. But, I love the guy, but I think you have to be realistic. Like you just said there, if you put all his games in a row, how many of them has he been the Casemiro we love? How many of them has he either not played or played below par? It's quite a lot.
Isn't that, can't you do the same thing with Ten Hag though?
Yeah.
Haven't Manchester United been somewhat of bipolar?
The thing I've said to you, and I know I'm a broken record, is Ten Hag wins the games I expect him to win. He's never won a game I don't expect him to win yet. Yeah. Barcelona at home, I expect us to win. City at home, I expect us to beat anyone at home, including Man City, I do. Arsenal, I expect us to beat him at home. Liverpool at home. Brighton in a neutral venue, I expect us to win that game. Newcastle in a neutral venue, I expect us to win that game. It's the tough ones where, do I expect us to win at the Nou Camp? Probably not, we don't. Do I expect us to win at Arsenal? Probably not, we don't. Do I expect us to win at the Etihad? You get my point.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones where he needs to break that mould. He needs to start winning the odd game where you go, actually, we're not favourites at one, but we got to win. Van Gaal did it. Van Gaal went to Anfield and got results.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Van Gaal was against the City team that was winning titles and everything and got a win. All right, mainly at Old Trafford, but Anfield was on Van Gaal's watch. You go into some of these games where you go, I'm not saying Van Gaal was perfect, he wasn't. Some of the football was absolutely dire, but he could get a result when you weren't the favourites. Ten Hag's got to sort it out, bro, because we can't keep only winning games you expect us to win. And now, as Alexei's already pointed out, start losing games you expect us to win.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're in real trouble, and that's when he could be on a hiding to nothing. And there's no better way than to start winning games you're not expected to win than this Wednesday at the Allianz.
Mate, I'd love that. Yeah. I can't see it, but any more comments before we
Billy Josh says, we need young and hungry players. You don't sell a good car if it's working fine, i.e. Cassie, Ericsson, etc. We will get in top 6. That's the thing, innit? It's like we will get in top 6. It almost feels like we're aiming for that already. Man United says, Ahmad is 10 goals and assists we need this season. Robert Georgie says, Bruno is the most creative player in the league. Factually. David O'Connor says, Saturday was the first time I've ever booed a United team off the pitch. We're a complete joke right now. Sheriff Manuel says, come on, Ten Hag, drop sloppy players and get us back to many winning ways. So yeah, it still feels like people are not turning on the manager but saying, come on, you've got to fix it.
Yeah.
You're the right guy too, but you've got to fix it.
I think at the end of last season, everyone was sort of willing to overlook the flaws of the defeats away from home and the away record. I think this season, the way we've gone into it, there's more of a focus on it, and so I think the pressure is on slightly. And I'd never turn on a manager or boo Manchester United team, but he does need to quote the brilliant poet Dizzy Rascal, he needs to fix up and look sharp.
Nice. Brilliant.
And on that note, subscribe. I've been Scotty, that's been Motty. We've got our Patreon, loads of stuff on there. You get all our content earlier. Costs you, $3.99 a month, is it? It's £1 a week.
Yeah, I'll put a little link to the old Patreon in the chat as well. Support the channel, we appreciate
you out,
it.
proactive. Yeah, so subscribe, and if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, that'd be great as well. Tell your mates about Scotty and Motty. When you're on the bus going to work, say, have you watched that Scotty and Motty on YouTube? And then where else can you talk about us? When you're in the queue at a chipper?
Yeah. What did you get from the chipper? What's your go-to meal?
Chips and gravy, man, and bam. You know, I went.
Love that. If you'd have not said bam, you'd have said another variation of it.
What's the best pudding? What's the best, like, if you're getting a pie, what are you getting?
Steak and kidney pudding.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Oh, that. See, this is why.
I got one the other day, and I was devil because, like, the gravy must have dried up. Must have been some old haggard steak and kidney. Do you know what I mean? Like, where's the gravy in this?
What
didn't
do you
ooze
get
out.
from the chipper, you?
Well, I used to love a steak pie. I used to get, when I was younger, I used to get these like family-sized steak pies. Obviously, I'm a vegan now, so I just get a vegan pie and some chips. It's quite nice, but it's just not the same, is it, really?
Well, I'll tell you what, if we weren't depressed before they started, we are now. On that bombshell, thanks to Alexei for producing the channel. Thank you to Scotty, and thanks to you guys for getting involved in the chat. We'll be back with more content this week, so make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe, and checking out the Patreon. Thanks for watching.